Is reality real? The simulation argument. It should be pretty interesting.
We have to use
I'll turn
concepts
it down a
and
bit.
tools to learn about the true nature of reality. Technological progress not only widened our knowledge about the universe, it also made us aware of unsettling possibilities. In the future, it might become possible to simulate entire universes. But if this is an option, how can we know that it's not already happened? What if we are not creators, but creations? Is it possible that we are not real and we don't even know it?
Okay, so fuck, you can't even really argue against this. Here's the thing. Cause like even like Neil deGrasse Tyson and like the biggest scientists out there, they don't have a way to disprove this theory. There's really not one out there. Cause it's like, what if it wasn't? What if it is just a simulation? There's no definite proof you can have to prove this wrong. It's the same as you can only trust your brain to tell that yourself that you exist. No one else could exist except you, and you wouldn't know because your brain is telling you that other people exist. Because everything else around you is perceived by your brain, but your brain just could be lying to you, and you're the only thing that actually exists. You're the only person that you can prove yourself to. You cannot prove that you exist to anyone else. It doesn't work. Let's just continue.
If our current understanding of physics is correct, then it's impossible to simulate the whole universe with its trillions and trillions of things. But we don't actually need to anyway. We only need enough universe to fool the inhabitants of our simulation into thinking that they're real. Who needs billions of galaxies? We only need the space our subjects are allowed to explore.
The vast universe could just be a flat projection, and they would have no way to know.
What about small things like cells or bacteria? We don't really need them. When you use a microscope, what you see could be instantly created. Same with atoms. The chair you're sitting on right now does not need to be simulated with quadrillions of atoms. We just need the outermost layer of it. It might be empty inside until you decide to break it open. Your body might feel like it's filled with bubbly things, but it might be empty until you open it. The minimum requirement for our simulation is only the consciousness of our virtual humans. Our subjects just need to think the simulation is real. Okay, so are we being simulated? Well, maybe, but there are a few conditions that need to be met. Obviously, we have no authority over this topic, so please take everything we say with a grain of salt. Based on a modified version of the original simulation argument by Nick Bostrom, we have 5 assumptions for you. If they're true, you, dear viewer, are living in a simulation. Assumption 1. It's possible to simulate consciousness. Nobody knows what consciousness
Is going to be able to be simulated. We already have like hyper intelligent AI bots like the ChatGPT that are solely for information. We already have very realistic human-like AI bots like Neuro and Evil. Neuro and Evil are probably the closest you're going to get at our current like day to a consciousness. Say other than probably secret billion-dollar projects and like other sectors of life that I wouldn't know about because I'm poor. But other than that, I don't think it's possible to simulate true consciousness. Fuck, whatever. I don't care. I don't think it's possible to simulate that, truly. The way that brains work, it is like a super complicated computer, essentially. But there are other layers to it, I believe. It's not just a giant computer, as far as I know. But let's see what he has to say about it.
For the sake of argument, let's assume that you could generate consciousness by simulating a brain. brains are pretty complex.
If you count every interaction between synapses as one operation, your brain runs at about 10 to the power of 17, or 100 million billion operations per second. Let's generously assume we need 10 to the power of 20 operations to simulate 1 second of human consciousness. But we don't want to simulate just one human, we want to simulate all of human history at once so we can skip around. Let's say we want to simulate 200 billion humans with an average lifespan of 50 years. 1 year has 30 million seconds, times 50 years, times 200 billion humans, times 10 to the power of 20 operations.
So we need a computer able to handle a million...
Basically, the answer is a lot of fucking math, alright? Just a lot of it. Just a shit ton. Got it.
trillion operations per second. More operations than there are stars in the observable universe. A computer like this is just impossible. Except, maybe it isn't. Assumption 2. Technological progress will not stop anytime soon.
Experience Japan.
Hold on. Before I go through this ad, there's a really crazy thing to think about here. Human discovery really only started like a couple 100 years ago, really, is when we started really taking off, like, technologically wise. Because up until around, like, the 1800s, there were no cars. You couldn't have a wagon until, like, 1700s when they were in, wait, I'm stupid. Hold on. Yeah, like, the first car was in, like, 1850 or something. It was by Ford, I think. I'm not looking it up. Fact check me on that. But it's, like, insane to think about how much technology has progressed in 200 years and then the last 2,000 years. If you look at the last, like, 1,800 years and then these last 200 years side by side, we've made so much more progress in the 200 years than we did in those 1,800. The fact that it's, like, scaling up like this is just insane, to be honest. Now, I'm not giving these people free advertising to my 0 audience members, so I'm gonna play this off screen with no audio. All right, it was 5 seconds and skippable. I guess I could have just put it up there, but you know, just let me be stupid sometimes.
If we assume that technological progress continues in a similar fashion as it has so far, then there might be galaxy-spanning civilizations with unlimited computer power at some point. Beings on a technology level so advanced that we could barely distinguish them from gods. A computer that can handle a million, trillion operations is serious business, but there are actually concepts for computers which could handle this. The Matryoshka brain is a theoretical megastructure made up of billions of parts orbiting a star feeding on its radiation. A computer of this scale would have enough power to simulate many thousands, if not millions, of humanities at the same time. Other technologies, like high-end future quantum computers, might lower the size drastically, so it might be possible to do this with a structure the size of a large city, or even smaller. But only if there's still someone around to build the computer. Assumption 3. Advanced civilizations don't destroy themselves. If there is a point at which all civilizations destroy themselves, this whole discussion ends here. Looking into space, you'd expect a universe filled with millions of alien civilizations, but we see nobody. The reason for this might be great filters. Great filters are barriers life has to overcome, like nuclear war, asteroids, climate change, or a black hole generator. If life is inherently self-destructive, then there are no simulations. We explain this in more detail in our Fermi Paradox video. Assumption 4. Super-advanced civilizations want to run simulations. When we speak of post-human civilizations, we don't know what we're dealing with. To think we know what beings as powerful as gods want is pretty arrogant. Imagine the smartest ant on Earth living next to an amusement park. It's curious about what humans are up to, so you try to explain. Unfortunately, the ant just doesn't understand. The concept of roller coasters and standing in lines and holidays and fun doesn't make sense to an ant living an ant life. It's the same with us and a post-human being. Compared to them, we are ants. Running simulations for fun or science might be an absurdly stupid idea to them. But if they do want to run simulations for whatever reasons, and assumptions 1 to 3 are true too, then the chances are not zero that you are living inside a simulation. Assumption 5. If there are a lot of simulations, you are probably inside a simulation. If there are simulated civilizations, it's likely that there are a lot of them. After all, we assume that post-human beings have access to practically unlimited computing power. So if they run simulations, it would be convenient to run.
I forgot to turn my mic on for that entire section, didn't I? You know, that sucks. That sucks. But I was saying, this is the reason that a lot of people, it's like, say that this first very, like, evolved civilization, extremely smart, can make these simulations, runs one of these simulations for a long time. If the people in that simulation make another simulation, and the people in that simulation that they made makes another simulation, and again, and again, and again, and again, and just down the chain, till there's tens, hundreds, thousands of simulations, it's going to be a very low chance that you're in the original world, is what I'm saying. If that were the case, you would most likely be in a simulation. You would most likely be in a simulation.
Millions or even billions of them. If there are billions of simulated universes, there are probably trillions and trillions of simulated conscious beings, which would mean that the vast majority of all conscious beings that will ever have existed are simulated. So for every conscious being made of flesh, a billion simulated ones exist.
Since we have no way of knowing if we are simulated or not, in this case, the chances of you being one of the 999,999,999 simulated ones are pretty high. So what you consider reality might not be real at all. You really might be simulated.
All of this is based on a lot of assumptions that we can't really test right now, so many scientists disagree with this whole thought experiment. So don't burn your house down to test if there will be glitches. If you are simulated, not that much changes for you. You might be on a small planet speeding through eternal nothingness, or a simulation inside a computer. Your existence does not become more or less scary and bizarre. All we can hope to do is try to live good lives and have a good time. And hope that if we actually are simulations in a supercomputer, nobody trips over the power cable.
Oh no. I think I just unplugged the simulation.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm going to go back a few seconds.
Is try to live good life.
Oh, yeah. Even if we are in a simulation of sorts, it doesn't change anything in your life. It's not going to change anything. Everything's still going to be, like, the same, you know? It's not going to change that much. You're still going to have to, like, exist and live life and make money and exist, you know? You're still going to have to try. You can't just sit back and let the simulation take its course and just, like, die off without ever having a purpose. That would be, like, a very sad thing to do. If you just learned, if one day it came out somehow that Earth is really just a simulation in a vast majority of simulations, and then everyone just started not caring anymore and just didn't try any of their ambitions. Because if it's possible to simulate consciousness, then you still exist. You're still a conscious being. You're not fake now that you were simulated. You're just not flesh and bone, I guess. I don't really know the point I'm trying to make here, but yeah, that's all. That's all I had to say.
Lives and have a good time. And hope that if we actually are simulations in a supercomputer, nobody trips over the power cable.
Oh no. I think I just unplugged the simulation. But what if that doesn't matter? What if we are in one right now? What if you are simulated?
Jake over at Vsauce 3 is looking into that. Click here to watch his video and subscribe to his channel.
That was a good video, I say. I'm gonna probably set up his Discord soon so I can do video recommendations and game recommendations and such. Probably a little early to be doing that stuff because I have 3 followers on Twitch, but I have quite a few on YouTube and stuff. So I might as well set up one, you know. That's gonna be it for stream today, though. It was pretty short. It was about an hour long. I just don't feel like doing much more today. So I'm gonna get off, and I'll see y'all probably in a couple days. Probably on Saturday, yeah.